Welcome everybody to today's sit down. Today's sit down is slightly different than the normal one that you would expect from our channel, but this is the one that I've been the most excited about ever since we made it happen. The young man next to me is going to help us process what true belief and true willpower means. He has served in 4 different prisons and he's been convicted for robbery, murder, and so on. He has changed his life, written 2 books, and he's probably one of the most inspirational people on the African continent and on the planet. My friend, Ivor Swartz, welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you, Meneer. I appreciate it. It's lovely to be here.
I'm so proud of the fact that you agreed to come on our channel, share your story, speak about some of the mistakes that you've made, and discuss the process of making a mistake, owning your mistake, paying for it, and growing from there. I mean, you've got a beautiful life now. You inspire millions of kids, young people, old people, and you're just a great, phenomenal human being.
Thank you. This is by far the best introduction someone has ever given me. I should cut this out of the whole episode and just send it to places.
You need to own this, sir, because that's my truth, and I'm thankful for your time.
Thank you.
So I think getting into the conversation, let's process you as a youth, prior to 17, because you got into major difficulties and your major mistakes happened quite early. I mean, as a juvenile. So what sort of circumstances did you grow up in? And how did that have an influence into some of the decisions that you've made, and then obviously the mistakes? And then we'll process from there.
Yeah. I come from a very small town in the Western Cape called Grabouw. We joke often, we say the only thing that grows there is apples. Nothing else grows there. And it's one of the area that I grew up in. They call it Digaitjie, which is a colored slang word for the ghetto.
Okay.
And it's one of those communities. It's literally just 2 streets, and one of those communities where everyone accepts their stories for what it is. There's hopelessness. There's no fathers. There's terrible, extreme poverty, and you see the cycle of absent fathers or no fathers. We joke even that some of the fathers, they went to go buy bread, but now they're working at Albany. They're not coming home with bread, Or they went to go buy bananas. Now they're monkeys in the circus. Those type of. But you see the cycle of no fathers at home, single mothers raising boys wanting to be trained how to be a man and not finding it, get into gangsterism, get into drugs, going to prison, making girls pregnant, and the cycle just repeat itself. And so the home that I grew up in, my father died when I was 3 years old. And I had an older brother and a younger brother. Older brother Dion, younger brother Peter. And Dion sort of wanted to take over the role of father. But he didn't know how to be. In fact, he was 17 when our father died.
He's still a young man. He's still a boy.
He was still a boy, and he had only one way of discipline in our house, and that is violence. He would sometimes come home, he would get on top of the roof of the house, didn't know how to process his own internal world, give language to his own internal world, and he would get on top of the roof of the house and just hit the biggest holes in the roof, or he would smash out all the windows in the house, or would literally take 3 or 4 car tires, set them on fire and throw them in the house, trying to burn the house down that he has to sleep in, eat in, live in, breathe in, wash in. And as a young boy, I could never understand why. Who gets to decide? Your group of people, you get this circumstances, your group of people, you get that. And then in that house, to this day, I call our house the blue house of hell, because everything that I've experienced as a boy in that house, it was just anger and pain and violence and bitterness. And when you see that, you mimic that. They say pain that is not transformed get transferred. And I thought, as a man, if I want to hear my voice if I want to see my voice being heard, you just cause violence and havoc. That's the only way people will listen to you. And that's what I did. So I was 13 years old. Younger brother was 10 years old, Peter. He stole 100 rand from our mom. You old enough to know when the 100 rand note just came out in our country. It was a lot of money.
That's value that most young kids can't process today.
They don't know. For them now, 100 rand, you buy a drink or Gatsby or a meal and it's finished. Peter stole 100 rand from our mom, and they sent him to Boys Town Reformatory School. He's 10 years old. He came back from Reformatory School. He has tattoos on the inside of his ankle, outside of his upper right leg.
At 10 years old.
10 years old. Dion came home, he saw those tattoos, and hell broke loose. He took a Shoprite plastic. He lighted that plastic up and he let that plastic drip on a 10-year-old's legs. And I knew for the life of me, there literally is no hope for ghetto kids. You either have to fight your way through this, or you will end up in prison with a number on your shoulders or on your hands, being part of the prison gang. There's no way you can dream of a life outside of those possibilities. Drugs and alcohol, prison gang, that is the only option, and that's the life I chose. I went to go live on the street, got into a small gang. We all had more millipiter than brain cells, but we thought we were a gang because none of us had grown up with the love, the acceptance of a father. And so we started robbing on the street, started breaking into people's homes, breaking into people's cars, robbing people on the streets, stealing people's wet laundry off their lines. Still raging with teen angst and teen rebellion, and then also put onto that the poverty of home, the rejection of not having a father, the abuse of a brother. You put all of that in one teenage boy's body, it is a recipe of for disaster. And one Sunday evening was the catalyst, or was the tipping point. We were sitting at a shebeen, and my older brother came, and he was a loud, aggressive, strong man, and wherever he was and wherever he enters, you feel his presence. And again, he was trying to hurt us, and because he thought we are lighties, and I just had enough. I'm a man now. I do life my way. And a friend and I, we shot my brother, and not a single bullet from my side. I think from Romeo also. Not a single bullet was towards Dion Ronald Swartz, my brother. It was all, we are done being told how to live our lives when no one is there to lead us in how to become men. We are just being told, shut up, do this, go to school, do all of these things, and no one is leading us in how to live as healthy boys in a broken community. And he died the Wednesday in hospital. He had a brown leather jacket on, and he was walking away from us, and he said, "You could shoot your blank bullets, I'm coming back for you tomorrow." And to this day, I wish that it was a blank bullets, because he died in hospital, and the script was just now completed for a ghetto kid.
Yeah.
Raised without a father, get into drugs and gangsterism. The next step is prison, and you're hooked. And then the cycle will sort itself out.
Man, that's, just processing the last 5-6 minutes is I'm overflowed with emotion. And what you said is, it was never, not a single bullet was aimed at your brother. I think the level of frustration, the level of despair in a young man's world, at a stage where I think between the ages of 8 to probably 17, 18, that's when a man needs to be shown how to be a man, because unless you have a figure that walks in front and says to you, this way, I'm very fortunate. I grew up in a loving family with a very loving father who was very tough. He was very, very tough. One of the toughest men I've ever met. But, he said to me, the road you're taking, I'm coming back from there. And this is the lesson that I would like to give you. So if you choose to go on the road, you will also get this lesson. So you can be wise and get it from me, or you can go and get your own mark. But I mean, processing, living and coming up in that environment without leadership, wow, to end up there, like you said, it's just inevitable, because where does the road lead to?
It's that African proverb that's so famous that says the child who gets rejected by the village will eventually burn the village down just to feel its warmth. And that's what there's not a single young man in prison today that said, I didn't need anything. There was no longing for someone's approval. There was no longing to feel connected. Every single young boy in prison, it started from, I'm not being seen. I'm not being noticed. I'm not being accepted for who I am, and I will show you what it looks like. And it's often than not in the wrong direction. And when we are fortunate to have, I mean, there are still men who've been in that fortunate position with a loving father. It's tough or not tough, but in that position to have a loving father, and still they choose to go down a different path. I struggle to, you've got everything that I wanted, man. And you're still going down a really terrible, destructive path. If I was in your position, I 100% would not have gone down the path. 100% would not have gone down that path.
So if I may, I would love to share some context in what you just said. So, off camera, I said, I'm not a street guy, but I understand the street as well. So I am a street guy in a sense. And I grew up in a school and in a community where I definitely mixed, with the naughty kids. We did things that we were not supposed to, but I had a lot of exposure with the wealthy kids that came up with that environment that you just mentioned. And I think it's a similar effect. The fact that I'm not seen, because maybe, and this is from what I've seen, maybe that boy's sense of being needed or being seen is not there as well, because dad is working his tail off, Monday to Sunday, not giving that boy attention because he's got a bond. Mom is also not getting attention from dad because dad's at work all the time. So now she's giving attention to another man, and this boy is seeing it. So I'm in the middle, or the young man's in the middle, and saying, but what about me? Who's going to raise and lead me? Because just because there's a father there doesn't mean you've got a father figure. There's a big difference. And I've seen, I've lost friends to drugs that have overdosed. And the one particular friend, very good friend of mine, the parents are, you get rich and you get very wealthy. They were extremely wealthy. And you overdosed on drugs, a good boy. And I'm not saying that that's his dad or his mom's fault, but in every environment there's challenges, and unless you lead and somebody sees you and points you in the right direction, you're going to end up in the wall.
And especially during those formative years that you've mentioned, 8 to 17, 18, those years are so important. That's when fathers often, they work the hardest because they want to provide, they want to prove I'm capable, I want to get the promotion. And it's not either or, it's both. And you shouldn't neglect your family for a career, but you also shouldn't sacrifice your career and then can't provide for the family. So there's this tension constantly in any man. I've got a boy who's 1 year old, he just turned 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I need to live with this tension. How many days per month am I away traveling, going to Cape Town, because I travel a lot with speaking engagement and visiting schools, and I need to be aware how many days, even if he's as young as he is, how many days am I spending away trying to provide for them but not being there for them.
With that connection.
So it's a balance, and I wonder how many men actually do get that balance right, or at least strive to. That's more than enough. If you strive to get that balance, I've got a child, I need to know that they are deeply loved, But I also want to show them that if you want to get things done in this world, you have to work hard for it. And it's okay to own the car and the house, but also okay to be there for the family.
So on that question, I would like to say to you a lot more after you are telling your story and you are preaching to us on this interview. So a lot more men are going to be conscious of the fact that, and I think it's not selfish to want it all. Why not?
No.
You should want it all,
Yeah.
and you can have it all if you stay consistent and focused. But and it's difficult to pay attention to this and be present.
Yeah.
Be present without you having to think, okay, once this interview is finished, I have to be boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And there's 17 fires. This is the most important thing in my life at the moment. Nothing else is. And I think that is key for managing your time and then managing your emotions as well.
Sure.
So, older brother passes away. What happens to you then? I mean, that's when you hit rock bottom, and that's when. How old are you then?
I was 14, going on 15.
So you were 14 years old.
Yeah, 14 going
and
on
your
15.
and your friend, how old was your friend?
He was 21.
21.
He was much older. He was the one actually that filled in that space of being an older brother to us. He took us into his home. He provided food and clothing and protection, because he was a well-seen gangster in the community, well respected as well. And so he gave us a place of belonging. Our deepest need as human beings is to belong and to have a purpose to live for. If you look at the homelessness around the world, it's people that don't belong and they don't have purpose. They don't have a why do I wake up in the morning and where do I belong when the wheels come off. And so I was sentenced to 6 years and 6 months as a juvenile, and he got a much bigger sentence because he was older than me. And he had he had an armed robbery case on, he had possession of firearm case on. I think he was sentenced 36 years at that point. And I went to first the Caledon prison, which is the holding prison in the Western Cape, in the Overberg, and then went to the Drakenstein prison.
How does the holding prison work? That's where you're awaiting sentence.
Yes.
So how long
yes.
were you?
I was 9 to 10 months, close to a year. I was just awaiting trial. So you in prison, didn't get bail, go to court, go back, all that until you are sentenced. And then once you're sentenced, you get placed to a sentenced prison.
Okay.
And the nearest one for juvenile offenders with a maximum crime. So there's one maximum prison for juveniles. It's called Victor Versteer. Now the name has changed. It's Drakenstein. It is in close to Paarl. So you get sent there. And I still had a further charge, what they call a FC. So I was already sentenced, but then I still had another case, an armed robbery case in the Strand court.
That was still pending.
That was still pending.
So does that mean they trial you on both now?
Yeah. So the one I'm already sentenced, and now you still go to court for this until it is resolved.
Resolved.
Yeah.
So you enter at 14, going on 15, and you're 16 years old before you realize, okay, this is almost 16.
Yeah.
This is going to be 6 years and 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's when you get placed in the. How long do you do in that prison? And if you don't mind, what is the difference between environment, because you spent 10 months as an awaiting prisoner?
Yeah.
What is the difference between the environment there and after being sentenced? I suppose that environment is a lot crazier than the one where you know what you've been sentenced
Absolutely.
for. Is that a good guess?
There's absolute anarchy and chaos in awaiting.
Because it's uncertain.
Yeah, because people come and go every single day. If you get bail, the moment your bail is through, you go out.
You go out.
As you go out, 20 to 30, 40 comes in who couldn't get bail or were just caught, or the police stations are too full. So there's absolute anarchy. The sentence prison are a lot more structured, but in both, there's the prison gangs, the numbers gangs of South African prison.
Already in the awaiting.
Already in the awaiting, in juvenile section and in the adult section.
And the gangs run the prisons.
They run the prison.
Even in the juvenile.
Absolutely.
Section.
And I always say to people, because Department of Correctional Service, they do their absolute, and I give credit to their work, but they do their absolute best to try and eradicate the numbers gang from prison. But it would be a free-for-all, dog-eat-dog system if they take out the prison gangs from prison, because they provide structure, discipline, respect, hierarchy, levels of hygiene and cleanliness, and how to operate and how to present yourself. You can't just do whatever you want. So day one coming into prison, obviously I was fortunate enough to know the prison system before I spent my first night, because
through contacts of at
of
the time,
Romeo
and friends.
was already, and friends and the community. It's part of community life. Everyone has a brother, uncle, a cousin that know prison life. You know, you're either part of the 26, the 27, or the 28. 26ers are the robbers. They do everything in their power to get stuff of monetary value. They are just focused on money. The 27s are just focused on murdering prison guards. They have no other purpose. Obviously, they get money, but their main purpose is stabbing prison guards. 28, their main purpose is, they've got twofold purpose. The one is it's sodomy right through, raping, sodomize right through, and then the second part of them is also to stab a prison guard. So on day one, you enter a room. Now, for instance, if there's no gangs in that prison, you enter a room, you just see a bed, you go for that bed, and whoever tries to take that bed from you will get stabbed or will die, whatever the case may be. Now, with the prison gangs, the numbers gang, 26ers always sleep on the right side of the room. 28 always on the left side of the room. 27 right side corner of the room. And so you come in, you don't go take a bed, you don't go walk and sit down. You wait, you stand right, and as you enter, the lock gets put on. If no one comes to you, you don't go anywhere. Two men from the 28, they go to the middle of the room. They hit what they call, is military terms, a one-time shotgun to draw the room to attention. And then two representatives of the 26, they also go meet them there, and they talk in prison language to say, listen, we see a stranger on the horizon. Will you go find out who this stranger is, and may you be safe? But it's all happening in one big room. And then these two representatives from the 26 go to you and say, who are you? And then you have one of two responses. You can say your name, and then they know you're not a gangster, and then they smack you across the face to show to the other room they're not belonging to any gang. But if you ask them back, who's the voice that asks? Then they know, okay, so we're dealing with someone that's somewhere on the hierarchy of prison gang. And then they go into a whole discussion to figure out where you are whether you're 26, 27, 28, and where you fall on the hierarchy.
The hierarchy of ranking.
And then they go back to those two representatives and say, guys, he's nothing. He sleeps on that side of the room with all the other prisoners who's also nothing. They call them Frenchmen, with all the other Frenchmen. Or he's a 26, and then the 26 brothers take you in, or you're part of the 28 and they take you in. There's a whole structure. When there's eating time, no one just get up and put their stuff. You wait till the last person is finished with their meal in the room, and then you get up. So there's a lot of discipline, which I think comes from the military system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how does the recruiting work? What is my, say for example, I walk in, I've had the advice from you, I don't represent a number,
Yeah.
I get slapped in the face. I'm a Frenchman, I go sit there.
Yeah.
Do the gangs try and recruit the Frenchmen if they see for example, okay, this guy is well spoken.
Yeah.
He's a slick guy. Maybe he can do one or two things for us.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide who recruits that person, or do all three recruit?
Yeah, all three recruit, but not at the same time. So there's ways and means to figure out. So they will go maybe via another friend and say, figure out where this person, what connection do they have
On the outside
who's their family, all that type of stuff. So that it looks like you're not immediately like vultures, you know.
Okay.
But then they would share their story with you. Like in the 28, we really look after you. There's not a lot you have to do to become. So we're safe. We look after each other. We are the biggest gang. So the 28, we are the biggest gang
in terms of numbers.
In terms of numbers, because it's so easy. And I don't want to talk on behalf of them because I'm way past that life. But in the 26, they tell you, listen, we focus on money. We focus on anything that has value for you, for the gang. We're all in the same position. You need to live. You need to survive. Prison food, prison lifestyle. Do you smoke? You won't be able to get those things by yourself.
Yes.
As a community, we can organize these things for each other. And then if, in my case, I said, that's the life I want, because Romeo was a 26. My co-accused, he was a 26 gang member, and he was quite high up.
Do you guys go in together? I forgot to ask you. It's a very important
Yes,
question.
we do go in together, but he goes straight in because they know him and he's got rank. He can't protect me. He can't protect
because
me.
You don't have a number.
There's no nepotism. You have to go the hard yards. I was slapped across the face. I was robbed from I had a pair of brand new grasshopper shoes. I was robbed of them on my first day. You have to go. You can't jump the steps. Just as in life, don't jump do the hard yards so that you can tell the story. No one put me in front there. I had connection. So when I decided I want to become a 26, that's when Romeo was able to help me and show me the ropes. But he couldn't help me beforehand. So when you become a 26 in the recruitment, they pull you into a circle of 6 men sitting there. In prison language, they tell you, you came here with your whole heart, your full understanding, your own 2 legs. There's only one way in. It's on your feet. There's only one way out. It's on your back when you die. Do you still want to be a 26 gang member? That's your last moment of reckoning. And then after you say, yes, I still want to be part of the 26 gang member, they tattoo a 26 on your hand, which I covered now with a little flower because my wife asked me to. So if your wife asks you to cover with a flower, you do it.
Yeah, definitely. Happy wife, happy life, my brother.
That's what you do. And so they tell you, we take and plant a living symbol of 26 into your blood. The only way to get it back from you is with your blood. So if I were to go back to prison, they will ask me, where is our symbol? And they have to draw blood from me to get this back.
To get it back.
And so because I was lost, because I had no sense of direction, and people can say whatever they want about prison gangs and the numbers gang in specific. I was a lost teenager, had no purpose, had no direction. The 26 gang tell me, you can get a rank, you can climb the ladder, you are part of a community, you have belonging, you have purpose.
Exactly what a young man needs at that stage.
Young man
and you embrace this.
You embrace it with all. You would die. I still have a big 2 and 6 on my shoulders because I haven't covered it yet. I feel like sometimes I'm moving too far ahead of my life that I might forget where I come from. And that's too important. You can never forget. You can never forget where you come from. And so I chose that life, and that life, honest, for the years, I spent 5 years of my 6 years in prison. That life gave me purpose. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was tough. I was assaulted many a times. I thought I was gonna die many a times. I wouldn't wish it on any of my enemies, honest to God. But those years were so formative for me because resilience, purpose. If you want something in life, think 1 or 2 steps ahead of the next person. Otherwise, because in prison, it's literally, if you don't sleep, most nights with your full red, or in juvenile prison, you get a red tracksuit, with your full red tracksuit on, with whatever object that's going to be your protection. If most nights, if you sense there's tension, if you don't sleep like that, tonight someone might get a fluorescent light and you just see it coming into your face. So I was taught, constantly think 1 or 2 steps ahead of the rest, and you will be safe.
Wow. I've got so many questions. So many questions. Let me start with, process that first night. You lost your brand new grasshopper shoes.
No.
Your first night as a Frenchman, as well as your first night as a 26. The feeling of comfort versus the feeling of, I'm so scared, and Romeo's in there with me, but he can't protect me because I'm a Frenchman.
Yeah.
That's difficult for him as well, because he's your brother.
Yeah.
How does the community, how many people are in a cell? Let's start there.
About 40 to 50.
That's a lot of dangerous people in one place.
It's a lot, and they make no distinction whether you've raped, murdered, or just shoplift. You're all in there.
And there's a difference in mindset from murder to shoplift. So it's the first night. Do you wake up and the shoes are gone, or are you processing this in real time?
You're processing it in real time. So I was in the room, and someone from the outside, in another room, came over to me and started chatting to me, saying, "Listen, I'm going to court tomorrow. Got a case going, and I want to look presentable. So I wonder if I can borrow your. Yeah, but let me just quickly see if it fits, man. Maybe it doesn't even fit me, your shoe. Let me just
takes the shoe.
Ask for the shoe.
Ask for the shoe.
Ask, not forcefully. That's and I'm talking a lot about as if I remember it yesterday. But that's the mindset of, that's the whole purpose of a 26. They've got a flag, a white flag with a thin red line. So the white flag represents everything that I want that has monetary value. I have to use mind. Okay. I have to use it with my mind. I have to manipulate you in a con artist way to get. But if you refuse, the red line gives me permission to use violence to get what I want. And so you just literally say, I'm going to court. Man, maybe it doesn't even fit me, but let me try on. Just so give the other one, let me see. Boom, he says, you've just learned your first lesson in prison. You're never getting these shoes back, ever again.
Straight like that.
Straight like that. Clean. No violence, no force, just with a clean thought.
I understand the mindset.
That's the 26 mindset that they have to.
So had you resisted, you're still losing your shoes.
You're still losing. You're still not sleeping that night with your grasshoppers.
It's a fact.
It is a fact.
And if an altercation takes place and you, for example, overpower that person, how does that play out?
There's a law in all three of the gangs, in the 26, in the 27, and 28. There's a law, because they've got their own laws, but there's one law that says, should a Frenchman use violence against any one of the gangs, and you witness it, you are obliged to combine in what they call in prison language, fadala, finish that Frenchman. Because no Frenchman must ever, this tail must never dictate. Never. And so there's in each of their laws, that law is scripted in there. Because you get in rooms often where there's more Frenchmen than
numbers.
Than numbers. And that gets problematic. That will get, so there is a law that says, and once it happened, one Friday afternoon.
Really?
One Friday afternoon, I was deep in the 26, I was already in Brandfly prison. There's this kid, Dimitri. Dimitri was, he was from the Cape Flats, a violent gangster, part of the American gangs outside in the Cape Flats. And he just...
And there's no affiliation with the numbers gangs?
Most often there is.
Most often there
Americans, most often will be 26 gang members.
Okay,
so there's the two biggest, and then the firm would be most often 28 gang members.
Okay.
But this kid, he was just violent and refused. I think there was a few screws loose in his head, and he got into an altercation with a 28 gang member, Matthijs. And I saw Dimitri coming into the room, smash out the window, because that's the most common weapon. Smash out the window. You have a towel around you,
and you grab
a piece of glass, and you go for it. It's the easiest way. And myself and another guy, Reino, saw this, and so we are obliged to attack Dimitri. Because questions will be asked, who witnessed this? And so we got into Dimitri, and the guards came and they pulled us apart, and we got sent to a solitary confinement in different rooms. And as we are walking in the hallway towards our solitary rooms, Dimitri, another window, wanting to go for us again. But this time the prison guards at least saw him. We're not doing, and they know these laws. The prison,
they understand the laws.
They understand the
laws. They have to.
They have to understand the laws. And so we got separated, and we were all in solitary for minimum of 7 days. You have to be in there minimum. And that's actually, that event was the catalyst for my transformation in prison. That Friday afternoon, with a raging Dimitri, that was the catalyst for my transformation.
Because here's the technicality. Had the prison guards not separated you guys, you have to finish the thread.
We have to finish it.
Which means you are going to be convicted of murder again.
Yeah, because he had the option, should we kill him, even if we just assault him, he has the option to make a case.
And you can't argue that, because that's what happened.
There's evidence that
the guards will see you.
Yeah.
The guards will see you.
And when he retaliated while we're all being separate, because there's fights happening every single day, just not in front of the guards.
The guards are
the ones who get put in solitary or extra sentence is the ones who get caught, or if you do it in front of the guards, because they see you the one.
Yes.
We know you fought. We know you had a fight, but we didn't see anything.
Yes.
But now we see you smash out the window and you coming for these guys again. So you are in the wrong. You know.
And here's the technical part. If you don't do anything, word will get back to the 26ers and say these guys just stood there and watched how
are they going to protect the entire community of 26 if they can't stood up against the Frenchmen?
You've got a whole set of troubles. Who knows what from there than from here. So you've almost got no option.
You run the risk of being excommunicated in the 26. I don't know for 27 and 28, but you run the risk of being excommunicated for two things: when you get raped, or when you saw something happening to a 26 gang member and you did nothing. And excommunication is almost being worse off than a Frenchman.
Wow.
Because you still have your numbers. But no one is allowed to respect you. Not even Frenchmen are allowed to respect you. So you don't lose your credentials, but you have zero respect. Zero respect.
Wow. And all these rules, how do you get assigned to someone that you shadow, and that person is teaching you these rules each and every day? This is what you have to do. This you don't ever do. Do you see this person? How does that, and how does the ranking system work?
So you get placed into what they call, I don't know the word for it, a school of someone. So you get a mentor. He's got a name and a rank in the 26, and a few of you get placed into his school to learn, sort of like a sage, teaching you the ropes, how to protect yourself, how to debate the number, because there's 3 dates that's important in the prison gangs. It's 1812, 1812, 1824, and 1836. Those are important dates, because important events happened in the mythology of the gangs. And they teach you the history of all of these things. And this person in his school teaches you these things. And every single day you do exams. And I kid you not, I wasn't the brightest peanut in the packet because it's more recitation. It's history that you have to remember. And so every night you get asked on, so what happened there, and how will you say this, and if someone tell you this, what will your rebuttal be, and if you don't, you get smacked across the face with an open hand, because the thumb in the 26 gang is very, very important. That's their sign. Thumbs up.
Thumbs
That's
up.
a sign for the 20. So every time they greet each other with the thumb. Every time the 26 greet each other, it's like this. Every time the 28 greets each other, it's like this. And so they're not allowed to smack you with a thumb hitting you. So they have to use an open hand. But many a days, your vanga is so thick because you can't remember the stuff. And so it teaches you, I have to be focused every single day.
Wow. And I think at that level of, I'm just processing what you're saying in real time and giving feedback of what I'm picking up. At that level, you're a very, very intelligent man, and you're very calm as well. I think that taught you, like you said, the discipline, the ability to process. If this, then this. If this, then this. It controls your emotion, because you're not an emotional person anymore, and you were. I think that's what I'm picking up. That sense of, this is what I got out of it. So let's process solitary confinement. You had the altercation with Dimitri. Luckily, he went, smashed another window, picked up another glass, and went for you. So the guards are saying, okay, it's you. So they
We're
control.
not going to take any cases from you.
Absolutely not. Whatever you say is irrelevant going forward. Had he not done that, you would have been in trouble.
Had he not done that, we would have, and we had another altercation, we would have had to make sure that he gets either badly injured, that he can't come back from it.
Yes.
Or murder. That's the you have to finish. Whatever finish means, you have to finish it. There has to be proof that you've done whatever you can.
According to law.
That none of these three gangs, 26, 27, 28, has been put in a dangerous position, in a compromising
position by a Frenchman, which was the Dimitri a man at the stage. So I want to process your saving. What shifted your mindset from there's something different for me outside of this, and how does that come about? Solitary confinement, you said minimum 7 days. So what is the maximum time you can do in solitary confinement?
Sometimes they don't even define.
Undefined. So you can stay there 2 weeks.
Days,
2-3 weeks.
They feel you're a danger to others, or you're a danger to the system, or whatever, the rooms or the community.
Solitary confinement.
If they can prove that, it's solitary confinement.
So what does that look like? Is it 23 hours locked up, 22 hours locked, 23 hours locked?
23 hours locked up, an hour of exercise, food gets brought to you.
You're not allowed to mix with the community.
You don't mix with the community. There's a little washing basin in the room. There's a toilet in the room. There's a bed in the room, a window, and there's a little locker, small locker in the room, and that's it. And it's literally 4.5 steps. I mean, I'm a bit taller now than I was then, but 4.5 steps I would count. There, back, toilet here in the room, the door there, 4.5 steps between
nothing.
The two of them.
And you get fed 3 times a day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. They give you food through a latch, and
no, they open the door for you, and then they put your food in, and then.
So what's the food like?
Your breakfast is just millipap straight up every single day.
No gravy.
No gravy, just millipap, a little bit of sugar. You don't ask questions. Why am I not getting milk? Or that's your food. And then 2:00 you eat supper, which is samp with a meat sauce, sometimes soya mince, or sometimes just a meat sauce. And then 2 types of vegetables that they make on the prison grounds.
That's at 2:00 in the afternoon.
2:00 in the afternoon, with about 4 to 6 slices of bread. And then 4:00 they put on the master lock, and then you wait for tomorrow.
What does the master lock mean?
The master lock is two different guards lock the prison, and they go home. And then there's only per section, there's only one prison guard, a first watch and a second watch. And should violence rise up in the prison, which happen on the daily, the head of prison has to come from home because he's got the master lock. So he has to come from home, go to his office, open his safe because it's for protection that you can't run away. He's the one responsible for the master lock. Then can only open. By then you've bled.
That's like an hour.
That's like an hour. So most of them stay on the prison guard, on the prison yard. But that space between 15 minutes is
It's
enough
too long. 5 minutes is
enough
too long.
to finish. So you have those, and that's why often they would place only 26s in a room, only 28s in a room. 27s, they are the big troublemakers because they stab the prison guard. They get sent to high maximum
Securities.
prison. Yeah.
So if you, and I suppose when you are being positioned, do they look for ink? Do they look for paint?
Yeah.
And they'll know, okay, you're at 26.
Yeah.
You have committed a X
Yeah.
crime, so we suggest you go there
So
strategically.
you come in, you strip completely naked.
And they inspect you.
Yeah, and then they inspect you. You do squats. They look in your mouth. Are you carrying anything or whatever? They rinse you off with water because you come from a holding prison, which is often unhygienic. It's dirty, lice. They take all your clothes. They throw it and they go burn it somewhere just because it's so easy to pick up a disease in prison and now a breakout.
Everybody
everyone,
gets sick.
Yeah. So that's how they spot. Okay, so 26 that line, 27 there, 28 there, all those
Frenchman there.
Yeah.
And what can you get in prison? If you are ranking, I want to dive in the ranking. How does it work, and how quickly can you climb, and who's on top?
Yeah.
And what can you get in prison? You can get cigarettes, you can get...
Yeah. So I can't speak for 28, 27, but they've got military terms as ranks as well. Sergeant
As in the
Major,
army.
Sergeant 1, the highest you can go is a general in the 26.
In that specific prison.
No, in any prison.
In any prison.
In any prison.
There's
26.
one general.
No, yeah, in that specific prison. In
Okay.
any prison, there can be sometimes 2 or 3 generals.
Wow.
Generals are identifiable by, they've got 6 stars on each shoulder, so they know.
Tattooed.
Yeah, tattooed.
6
stars. That's how you know.
6.
6. That's how you know. I don't know where the other guys, but that's the highest you can go. And the general is when there's no 27 in a prison, he steps into that role. So if there's a difference, a fight between 28 and 26, which is happen on the daily, so if there's a big difference that they can't sort out, the 27 usually go what they call in Afrikaans, hy gaan sak berge. What it means is he's going to the mountains, and what that means is he has prepped himself tomorrow morning, coming with the rise of the sun and the open. A prison guard blood must be drawn from him. That's how this difference will be sorted. And so if there's none of him, the general must step in and fulfill that role. He has no choice in the matter. Otherwise, these two will keep on stabbing and killing each other.
Wow.
And so you get, if you ask, what do you get into prison? You literally, in South African prison, you literally can get anything.
Cell
in
phones.
prison.
Cell phones.
But I was so fortunate back in those days, you didn't get cell phones.
Not yet, yes.
Not yet in prison. But what you got was lots of the main trading, because you're not allowed to have cash. Cash is illegal in prison.
Okay.
But there are cash floating around. So the main 2 things that they trade with illegally, one legal and illegal, is dagga. So dagga gets brought in most of the time by prison guards, and then toiletries, soap, toothpaste, those type of things. They have
That's the commodity.
They have monetary value. So 5 soaps is equal to 1 little bit of dagga. That little bit of dagga you chop into smaller pieces, you crook, you put some grass with, you sell them for more than what they're worth to other people, or a cell phone, not a cell phone card, phone cards, you know, those phone cards.
In the old days, you used to have a
those ones.
phone
so
card. I
you
remember
take them
those.
out carefully, you phone it empty, you put it back nicely, you make it
you seal it and you sell
you
it.
seal it. You tell Jeremy to give it to Grant, to give it to Vincent. Vincent give it to the last person who bought it, and you just go. But there's a whole chain that I sold you a real cell phone card, a phone card full of.
Yes.
And so those are the 3 things. And so you have to think 1 step ahead of others constantly. Otherwise, it's over for you.
Man,
It's
I didn't know that. That's scary. That the person responsible for the prison has the only second key, and it's locked up in a safe in his office.
Yeah.
So if there's a fight or something breaks out in a cell of 40 dangerous men,
Yeah.
it's probably 15 to 20 minutes before anybody comes in.
Bloodbath.
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 And everybody's got a weapon that is available at any point, some stage. Wow, that is scary, man. You've lived a scary life.
There's one area at the adult prison that I was in Brandvlei. It's one area, room 17 to 21. They literally call it Afghanistan.
That's what they call
That's
the room.
what they call it, because
a
not even a prison guard would want to go by himself to go fetch a prisoner. There for whatever doctor or school or whatever. They go 2 or 3 together with 2 or 3 Rottweilers, Alsatians, whatever, because they have dogs walking around with them, guard dogs. So because they know the worst, and now you expect someone who only stole
a cell phone.
Or you expect them to survive in that room. When 3 men of authority need to go in there with 2 dogs. No. So it's a bit of a broken system if you think about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can survive unless you're very, very schooled in the laws, in the rules, and what to do and what not to do. You won't make it there. Wow. Let's process that night when Dimitri starts the trouble. You're on your own.
Yeah.
And how does it come to your heart? How do you decide, I'm going to take a different direction? How does that process happen?
I didn't decide it by myself. That's why I think that was the moment of change for me. There was a teacher in prison, Mrs. Yolanda Fraser-Nichu. To this day, she's a teacher in prison.
Still.
To this day.
Beautiful.
She just now shifted from the juvenile prison to the maximum prison.
Okay.
Juvenile no longer challenge.
Okay, she's got that down.
They can go on by themselves. I need a bigger challenge. Mrs. Yolanda Fraser-Nichu heard I'm in solitary. Section B, Brandvlei prison. They call the solitary rooms tanks. Tank 7. She heard I'm there. So, before she left for home, Friday afternoon, because she knows you have to be there minimum of 7 days. So Monday, should she come back, I will still be there.
Got you.
But something of a sacred calling must have whispered to her, listen, just go by that room. Just go see Ivor. Because she was the librarian also. Okay. And I used to go get books from her, recommendations for books. I read a lot. I read a ton when I was in prison. You have to keep this thing active.
You have to feed your mind, sir.
She found out I'm in solitary. She came to visit me. I'm washing my socks by the basin. There's a song that comes on the radio. There's a little radio speaker. The song that comes on the radio, Robbie Williams, I Just Want to Feel. You know, that
yes.
I just want to feel real love.
Yes. And she's You're a good singer, sir.
She's having this conversation with me about, why were you so stupid? You shouldn't have. What got into you? You know, that type of chat. Also, almost a conversation from a concerned aunt type of conversation. And the lyrics in the song that says, I've got so much life running through my veins going to waste, was the moment he said, Ivor, you singing this, that is you. You've got all this energy locked up inside of you, and the only purpose it serves is to be a 26 gang member. What a waste for your life would that be if you die in prison and the only thing people would say about you, you murdered your brother, you grew up without a father, and you're a 26 gang member. Is that literally the final story you want to write for your life? Man, that conversation, to this day, that conversation was everything to me. That conversation. I remember putting just leaving my socks in the basin. I'm all shy and I don't know what got over me, but something in that moment shifted in me. She enrolled me for matric that following year, 2005, in prison. She enrolled me for matric. And I passed matric in prison because there was a random teacher who felt a whisper, just go to tank 7 in section B. Just go chat to Ivor. And I passed matric because a teacher listened to an inner voice. And I think we all have that. Sometimes you get that gut feeling, man, I just need to trust this moment. Just need to be obedient to this. Just need to help this. I just need to pick this person up from the gutter.
And the key is taking action.
And it's taking action. The rest is up to them.
Yes.
Submit the work, surrender the outcome. That's my line in life.
Wow.
Submit the work, surrender the outcome. I'm not responsible for the outcome. I'm responsible to submit the work.
Wow.
And that moment changed everything. To this day, I'm friends with that teacher. To this day, she sent me voice notes of encouragement. My son, I'm so proud of you. You are going places. I was just there to guide you. I knew you had it in you. I was just there to guide you. To this day, she's a voice of reason in my life because my mom had passed away and now she has taken over that role.
That very, very important role.
Yeah.
Did your mom pass away while you were in prison?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm sorry for your loss. But wow, man. And I'm just processing that so much pain you've gone through. And you're right. You can't go through so much pain and not teach people about forgiveness, about growth, about being a better version of you.
Yeah.
And is that at day one? Does she get you in tank 7 at day one?
On that very Friday.
That very Friday.
Still vulnerable, still buzzing with adrenaline, figuring, oh man, again now. Because you go to solitary often. They could write you.
It's not your first time there.
It's not your first time. You can get written what they call a 117B. That's the charge again. You can get that written for 7-day period for tattooing yourself, because in prison you basically state property.
Yes.
So if you tattoo,
you haven't asked permission.
It's illegal to do tattoos in prison.
So therefore you're breaking the rules.
You're breaking the rules.
Man.
117B. So it's not my first rodeo. It's not my first time in solitary. But this was different because you think like, oh man, yeah, now interrupted 7 days. It was a Friday because every Friday every room gets a TV to keep for the weekend, and Mondays they take it back. I'm not gonna watch football. No Liverpool to see, you know.
And you're frustrated.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. It's annoying. Like, why did you have to start trouble on Friday?
Friday.
Why couldn't you start it on a Monday?
Yeah,
we could have sorted.
Maybe on Sunday started trouble, you know. So it was just annoying, but it was the catalyst for my transformation, for my rehabilitation. And I mean, I didn't picture it. She obviously didn't picture it. She just felt something. Let go speak. And that's what we just have to show up.
And obviously 7 days later you show up different. Your eyes are different.
Yeah, you come out and you know, okay, now I need to do something. Okay, so what?
What is the next step?
You said you'll help me. What can we do? she gave me a job in the library. So I helped out in the library. There was a course that they did back then. The HIV pandemic was hectic in South Africa, and they tried to get prisoners to teach other prisoners in prison language
Okay.
the dangers
of HIV.
Yeah, you can get condoms in prison because they're gonna rape and they're gonna sodomize. So you have to, and so see, there was a group of us that you put into that training, 11 weeks of training. At the end of the course, the radio station came and they had a big ceremony. She wanted someone to do a motivational talk about the experiences. I think you can do it. It was my first exposure, 2005 in prison, my first exposure to motivational speaking.
Wow.
And I knew, man, I love this. The
feeling that came over you. You knew this. I'm built for this.
People are listening to me.
Beautiful.
Remember, growing up, now people are listening and they actually take the words serious that I'm saying, and something came alive in me in that time.
How long before you get out from that night in solitary?
That was 2004. I was released from prison December 7th, 2005.
So it's still a while.
Still a while. A whole year of matric in prison.
And you still have responsibilities to the
have responsibilities
to the gang, and you come out.
Yeah.
You
have to play. Unfortunately, you don't play. You still one foot in both worlds.
Can't be.
You can't say, guys, teacher spoke to me, I'm out.
They're gonna think you're crazy.
You will be out. So you have to play both roles.
So that conversation cannot happen.
That conversation cannot happen.
Never.
Yeah. You just say, I'm in school now, because when you go to school in prison, you go still on the prison premises, but you go outside of the four walls. So it's a way of, hey, I'm hunting to see what's there. I'm bringing it back to the camp. So maybe I have contacts with some of the older prisoners in the adult prison. So let me go to school.
Yes.
But in the meantime, my younger brother Peter was with me in the same prison.
He also got sentenced for something.
He's a 28 gang member. I'm a 26 gang member.
So he didn't join your gang?
No, he was with the 18. We was with the 28 gang members. I was with the 26 gang members, and he was in the 18-year-old section. I was in the 20-year-old section when we were in the same prison.
Not in the same cell.
Not in the same cell. So they have section in the juvenile. They group them by age. So you get everyone up until 18 in the same section, and then a 19-year-old section and a 20-year-old section. And from there you go to adult. So when you turn 21, you go to adult prison.
Adult. So I want to ask you a technical question. What's the conversation with your brother being a 28 and you're a 26? That's a technical...
We never saw eye to eye.
You can't.
Never saw eye to eye. In fact, he had a photo that I still have to this day. I'll maybe send it to Vincent on WhatsApp.
Please, sir.
He has a photo. He had a photo of us. He had a physical photo of us at a school, primary school prize giving with our mom. And because of some difference with the gangs, and although he did it neatly, he tore himself out of the photo. He said, "You're not my brother. This number, this 28 is my brother." That's because that's the oath you lay down. You say, no blood relatives. This is the most important thing. And he took it serious. And when we got the news our mom had passed away was the first real point of connection that the two of us had with each other while being a 26 and a 28. They called us to the prison, head of prison's office, Meneer Streyers. They called us to his office and we walked down the hallway, not talking to us. We didn't know why we're being called. Walking down the aisle to the hallway to his office, and he sat us down and said, "Your mom just died of a heart attack. You are all you have left, and you believe this thing they tell you. You're not blood brothers." That was the second moment of something different must come from this tragedy. And my brother will tell you, before me, behind me, he said to me, Ivor, what's going to happen to us? Not you as a 28, you as a 26. What is going to happen to us as two brothers? And I had no words for him, but I said to him, this place will never see me again. This day, 26th of July 2005, I said to Peter, prison, when I leave this place, I am never coming back. I had no date on my card. I have no release date. I just know. Done. Because in prison, you're not allowed to show that you have feelings, that you have emotions, that you are also hurting, that you are also depressed, that things get under your skin. You're not allowed to, because the strongest live the longest. The weak, they get eaten. You cannot show emotion. But that day I said to my dearest brother, Peter, I'm done.
This place won't see me again.
And he couldn't, unfortunately, my brother couldn't make that same promise. And he's still paying the consequences of that. Yeah.
When you get out, because there's a lot of people that are going to see this interview that come from tough environments, and but I don't have the right surname, I don't have the right connections, I didn't go to the right schools, I didn't attend the right community events. There's a lot of people, whether they know it or not know it, with a victim card in their back pocket that they like to take out. I mean, you came out with nothing. How do you achieve so much in your life to the point where people, love the fact that you share so openly and counsel and give advice to so many young men and women that need it? What is the mindset that takes you to, I'm out now? And before you get out, are you allowed to say, listen, I'm leaving tomorrow? Do you know when you're coming out? And how does that work?
So you know exactly when you come out, and more often than not, people don't share their release date with
because
others.
That makes you a victim.
They could easily plant a spoon or whatever.
Yeah, not a victim, but rather a target.
Vulnerable, a target.
A target.
So you don't share, but there's a process of release also.
I want to ask you, plant a spoon. What does that mean?
So you don't get your own spoons in prison. You don't get a spoon. You go to the eating room, and you get a spoon, and they collect the spoons again. Or if you eat in your big cell, in your big room, 40 men, they say we're given 40 spoons out. We need 40 spoons back when the cleaners come around.
And if there's 38 spoons?
Then there's chaos. There's lockdown. There's the whole
God's coming, dogs, and
there's knives and stuff all over. But because of protocol in prison, spoons are very, very endangered species.
I understand what you mean, because it could end up as a shank or a knife.
Proper stainless steel
spoons.
What you do to get a knife is your problem, but don't use government property
to commit things.
Yeah, so they could plant it, but then they place you in this about 5 or 6 rooms. That's outgoing rooms.
Okay.
So everyone there has something to lose.
Okay, so that environment is more relaxed.
It's more relaxed. Everyone there has
even if you have a number.
Doesn't matter what your number. Everyone there has something to lose. And so when I left prison on that day, 7th December 2005, I had just over 200 rand in my pocket. And I had a blue jeans, a pair of white All-Stars, fake All-Stars, Converse. I had a white long sleeve t-shirt thing on. And I had a bag with all my books. And I did a lot of, what they call it, these flip files with posters of celebrities, especially rap artists, Tupac and 50 Cent. And I had that with me. And I was shaking with fear. I was more scared to leave prison than I was when I went into prison, because once you get outside, you have to prove to the world I'm a changed man. And how do you prove to the world in a week's time that I'm a changed man? No one would give me a job. No one would give me opportunities. You literally have to, and if you don't have the mindset of, I understand why people won't give me a job. If you expect them to give you a job,
It's a
problem number one.
Got you.
Victim and entitlement. You've murdered, or you've robbed, or you've taken off, you used drugs, or you were homeless, or you've destroyed your family, whatever the case may be. Don't expect anything from anyone, but make the most of every opportunity you are given. A church took me in. They gave me extra clothes. The friends from that church, they took me, on that day, they took me to Spur. Let me tell you, brother.
To have a, I just got
They took me to
goosebumps.
Spur and my mind was blown. I can choose for the first time.
What I eat.
In 5 years, I can choose literally what I eat.
What did you eat?
I had a hamburger and I couldn't even finish the meat. Because in prison, you never get a piece of meat. You will never, ever get a piece of meat. It will always be a sauce. Because no meat had bones. Because bones, chicken, the drumstick bone, or the T-bone, whatever, it could be
A
turned
weapon.
into a weapon. Anything that could possibly be a weapon, you don't see. I didn't eat the bread. I didn't eat the both sides of bread, and I couldn't finish the patty. And I finished the chips with all that nice Spur
That
sauce.
nice white sauce that they
nice
have.
white sauce. It was my mind was blown. I could eat whatever I want. I could choose what I want.
We take so much for granted, sir.
And in prison, you take, for a spoon, you literally take your lotion bottle, you cut out a piece of that, you cut it nice and round, and you bend it, and that's your spoon. And now, they come to Spur, they give you
And a
a
knife.
knife and a fork. You see, this is my first day outside of prison. My very first day. I was so overwhelmed with all the smells, because the Gordons Bay by the sea, it's the food of Spur, it's the sea smell. It was a whole different world. We definitely take so much
For
for
granted.
granted.
Wow. I'm just processing what you said now. More power to you for being so brave, to be able to walk out and say, I'm not going to expect anything, because if the roles were reversed, I would also be scared to hire you.
Yeah.
So process the first job that you get. What do you do to start earning money from that we're going forward? How does that interview look like?
A church actually helped me got the job, and they putting in a good word for me.
Okay. Okay.
Because Grabouw is well known for apples, they got me a job at an apple farm.
Okay.
Meneer Derek, I'll never forget his name.
Okay. He
Meneer
sounds
Derek.
strict.
Yeah, he gave me a job, and he said, I won't get you picking apples, I won't get you doing all the other. The only thing I need from you is you stand by this. There's a part of the production line. You just stand here, and whenever this thing is full, it was the most mundane, menial, boring job ever. When this thing is full, you just pull this lever, it will lift up the thing, and it will put them on the belt, conveyor belt, and the next one will come. That's all you do every single day.
It's a job.
It's a job. But it was also a test to see, are you prepared to start from nothing?
Yes.
Lots of people, they expect, and I get that from other people a lot. Man, I just came out of prison, or I've got the same story as you, I want to do what you do. Doesn't work like that in life.
You have to
You have to earn the stripes.
earn the stripes.
You can't just expect me. I went through all of that, and now you just want it in 50 seconds of fame. But I started at the bottom. This church gave me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. They sent me to go study this church. They provide for my studies. They paid for my studies. I got my first degree 10 years later.
Beautiful.
2005, I got matric in prison. 2015 only, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in theology.
Wow.
And then 2019, I got my honors degree in theology. And now I'm busy with my master's at University of Stellenbosch in theology, because I took the opportunities that people gave. I didn't grumble and complain. I'm much better than this and I deserve more and it's been blah, blah, blah. You deserve nothing. You murdered your own brother. You don't deserve anything. You can never, ever pay back what you took, because my brother's children are now also fatherless. In fact, his son also went down a drugs prison route. So that all could have, hypothetically speaking, could have been avoided if you had kept a steady head. And now you expect life to just hand you things. Doesn't work. And unfortunately, a lot of South Africans are walking with that mindset. Oh, but maybe I didn't murder anyone, so life is supposed to give me. No, my friend.
You have to earn it.
You have to earn it. That's what makes us so resilient. It's that you think, that you believe in the depths of your heart, I have to make full use of every opportunity that I get, because we are living in absolute godless, chaotic times. And if I don't use this opportunity, someone else will. Yes. Because there's a lot of people that want these opportunities.
Yes.
What do I make with what is in my hands?
Wow. The talks you do at schools, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 most common topics that arise that parents most times don't even know about? Sometimes they do, and there's a situation where fatherless a home or whatsoever. But what are some of them that parents can learn from you, speaking to all the youth? I mean, down the road, you said you've done so many talks at our school down the road. And do kids come up to you and say, Ivor, help me process this. This is what I'm going through. And maybe that can give some insight to parents watching this interview and say, okay, I need to pay more attention in these 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 areas. Yeah. Please, if you don't mind, sir.
The number one thing is always belonging.
Belonging.
The number one thing that kids struggle with: I don't fit in, I'm not accepted, I'm being bullied, I'm being rejected, I don't feel. It's centered around belonging. I don't have a place. And very often, sometimes these kids don't have a place even at home. They don't belong at home, they don't belong at school. So what do? They go find other pockets. So belonging, number one. Depression now amongst even as young as grade 4. Depression is huge. Depression, and coming with depression, self-harm. Grade 8 boy at a school nearby us. Grade 8 boy, 5:15 in the afternoon, went into the bathroom, belt around his neck. Grade 8 said, I'm done. For whatever reason, whatever happened in the house, whatever happened at school, whatever. So the struggle, and a lot of times we as adults think, man, they're just looking for attention. We've often heard this. You're not depressed, you're just looking for attention. Or you're not this, you're just looking for attention. Pay attention to this next generation. They speak to us in many ways, but we are too busy to listen.
What is the 1 or 2 things a parent can say, okay, I'm sensing an issue. What is the 1 or 2 things that you suggest parents should do and say, listen, how can we prevent that grade 8 boy from taking his life, no matter what the situation? What is the 1 or 2 things that parents should say to their kids?
The first one is create a space where a child want to come to them say, I've got struggles.
Got you.
Create the space where your child can know, when I go speak to my parents, they won't judge me, they won't punish me, they will listen to me. Because a lot of the times a child started vaping. I'm not going to tell my parents because they're just going to be
shouting.
they went to a party, something bad happened. I'm not going to tell my parents because they will just, what did you do? Why were you at it?
And you'll never be allowed to go out again.
Create an environment where your child want to come and tell you what they've done. Because if they can know there's a culture of grace in our home, there's a culture of you are safe in our home. I don't care what, we'll deal with the consequences later. But here, when you come home, you can tell us anything because you are safe. You are our biggest priority. So create that culture. The second thing you can do, don't be afraid to seek professional help. A child doesn't know what they truly need. You as an adult, you know what they need. And let your shame go. Let your pride go. Let that thing go of what will the neighbors say, what will the Joneses say. Go seek professional help if your child needs it. Let that situation get air. It's the only way to get rid of it.
Beautiful.
But to smother it, to press it down, because we don't talk about it in our family. We have a lot of people are looking at us. We've got money. We've got influence. Your child is way too important to let go. So see them, let them come to you to talk to them. Don't be afraid to seek professional help.
Wow. What else do you pick up in kids when you speak to them?
So it's the belonging, it's the cutting, the suicide and depression, and then it's the online, the cyberbullying is a big thing.
That's a massive thing to
Massive thing. The cyberbullying, and I mean, kids do it to themselves also. They've got Finsta accounts. We've got these fake Instagram accounts. So I will have a fake Instagram account that I follow my mom on, and my mom follows me on, and it's just the photos of our holiday by the sea. But then I have my private Instagram account that I connect with my friends with, and that's where we hate and we spit and we challenge and we fight and we send nudes and we manipulate and we wat is afpers, all those
break down.
Yeah, we break each other down and we manipulate each other. That's where my real life is. So parents must really be focusing on their social media use. So there's a thing that a friend of mine started, wait till 8. So no child of theirs get a cell phone until they standard 8.
Standard 8.
Grade 10.
Yes.
You won't get a cell phone. If you want a cell phone, say in a high school, grade 8, you can get one, but we have to have full access to it. Now, you can have full access to it, but you won't know your child has a Finsta account.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. So that's why they suggest no cell phone until a grade 8. So there's the cyberbullying. It is a big problem amongst our youth.
So wait till 8, and make sure. And yeah, it's so technical, man. You have to. Your kids need to trust you. You know, I'm not a father yet. I would love to experience fatherhood one day, but I'll share a story with one of my colleagues. She said to me, "I'm so proud of my boy," and I've known him since he was a little toddler, when he was a couple of days old, and now he's over 2 meters tall. He's a big boy, and he's still young, 17. And so I'm so proud of my boy. You know, he saw something on his phone, popped up, and he clicked on it, and it was a link that someone at school sent him, and then he clicked on the second one, and by the time he clicked on the second one, he realized, wait, this is wrong, and he came and he said, this is what's coming up on my phone, help me.
Sure.
How many kids have that mental stability to process, this is wrong, help me?
Sure. Yeah.
And that comes from an environment of trust.
Culture of grace, culture of trust. That comes from that.
I know mom is not going to smack me because I've clicked on something I shouldn't. She'll help me. And that's why I'm coming. And there's, the conversation is so technical. Sure. You have to pay so much attention. Yeah. And I think, going back to upbringing, it doesn't matter what school you go to. You can go to a school where it's a public school, it's free, or you can go to the most expensive school. Those links will be shared anyway.
Yeah, they will be shared anyway.
It's important to have that values and principles system and the trust.
The foundation must come. And I know we live in a country with lots of challenges with
We do,
gogos raising kids, or
teenagers.
or parents working away, so have to be in boarding school. So the foundation is not set. But when you do get an opportunity to connect with your children, truly connect with them.
Use it.
Because next week you will maybe work away and you won't have the opportunity to connect. But the wisdom, the way you made them feel this week, will definitely carry them through. Remind them constantly. Papa is not working away to make lots of money for the sake of it. It's so that you guys, you are my why. You are my reason why I want to make a lot of money. It's for your comfort. It's for your purpose. It's for your growth. It's for our story. It's so that we can go away. So that when I'm away, you remember, Papa is not out there doing whatever's. It's for us.
Beautiful.
It's for
Man.
us.
I think the last 30 seconds will make the best reel on Instagram that was ever made.
Sure.
I really do.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Wow. So it takes a village to raise a man. It takes a big village to raise an amazing man. Who in your life have touched you and course corrected you? We spoke of the lovely lady that, it was laid on her heart on a Friday afternoon to come and speak to you at the time when the song was playing and the right lyrics. Sure. Was she one person that really touched your life and made a difference? Who else?
She definitely was. There was two others, and one in a moment. The one was the couple from the church that I went to, Gerrit and Ame Kutsia.
Wow.
They literally raised me after prison in a way. They gave me everything, every opportunity, funding for studies, all of that, and they've been in my life consistent. Mentoring voices. They are much older. They are really old now, but they are still in Grabouw doing the work there.
Wow.
And then my wife, Nadine.
How did you guys meet?
We met each other because we studied theology together. She studied Christian counseling. I studied Christian leadership, and we studied together. And we met each other there. And we've been married now 7 years. And she shows me every day what grace and acceptance look like in real life. Because we can say we accept a person for who they are.
Until you have to.
Until you have to. Until you say, I choose to marry for the rest of my life this person with a past that looks so colorful. I choose to believe in who he is now and what he's busy becoming. The past doesn't, and there's no better picture of grace in action than that. And then there was a doctor.
A doctor.
A doctor. This is a whole can of worms. I dove into a shallow swimming pool while I was studying, in varsity. We went on a team building camp, and I dove into a shallow swimming pool, and I broke my neck.
What?
I broke my neck. And
head first.
As I was in the air, the folks in the pool said, "Watch out, the pool is shallow," and it was too late. My head hit the bottom of the pool, and I'm unconscious, couldn't move, and I went to hospital, and I was in hospital with steel pins on both sides of my neck, just laying there 6 weeks straight, 24/7, and a doctor, random doctor, came to visit me on his rounds, and he looked at the X-rays. And he was an Englishman. His exact words: "There must be something that you still have to do in this life. Go figure out what it is.
Wow.
You're supposed to be dead or paralyzed. Go figure out what your life should become."
Beautiful.
And those words was part of that. I need to do something with my life.
You've got a calling, brother.
I need to do something with my life. I cannot live for myself. I must. The story, and that's why I share the story so comfortably, because it's not for me, the story. It's for that little kid that sits with a father that abused him, or for that father who thinks, "I never had the approval of my father, and now he's no longer here." It's for anyone who sits in a moment of reckoning which way will I take this life of mine? And I want to remind them, man, there must be something. The reason why you are still alive, there must be something that you still have to do. Let it be something beautiful. Please, I beg you, let it be something beautiful.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh.
Wow. If you could spend an entire day with someone, who would that someone be? And what would you ask that someone?
Yes.
Anyone, dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Yes.
Dead, most probably there's more dead than alive at present. I would think someone like Mother Teresa.
Wow.
Someone that sacrificed everything. That said, I want to dedicate my life to work with the poorest of the poor, the forgotten. I wanna find out what drove her to that point. There's a story of her that sometimes when they brought shoes to the colonies in Calcutta, she would specifically search out the worst shoes that she can wear so that other folks can. And so if I could just spend a day with her, hearing her heart, listening to her stories, I can die a happy man. And so she's a bit of a, I mean, she's a saint, but she lives on through other people in our world. And if we can have just tiny bits of her flaring up all over the world, man, this world would be a beautiful place.
I'm scared I get teary, but if I do, forgive me, because we can share the tear together.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are a part of that tiny golden nugget that she's left, you know, for the rest of us. You really are. You truly, truly are. You are such a brave man. And the brave man I'm referring to is this man sitting right in front of me now. You really are. You really, really are. You've got so much wisdom and so much passion for the youth. You know, I wanna dive into parents having signals. You've experienced drugs. We've got a big drug problem at the moment. I mean, it's available. It's literally available,
crazy.
and it's, you know, dacha is legal now in the country.
Crazy.
And I'm not gonna get into what's right and wrong, but at a certain age, what do you as a parent look out for, and what do you pick up on? Okay, my child's mood when he or she comes back from that friend is different. How do you gauge that that observation?
Yeah, the easiest is, and I could recall it because I had a conversation last week with a mother with a daughter, 20 years old it is. Said, my daughter has changed. I said, see, they suspecting. The daughter denies flat out. They suspecting. I said, I can tell you with 100% certainty, I'll put my life on it, your daughter is definitely on drugs. First thing is eating irregular. They're not eating as they used to. Second thing is sleeping patterns, not sleeping as they used to. Third thing is irritability. They're constantly on the edge when they're home because they don't get their fix. Vibrant mood swings, up and down. Those are the four easiest. And I said to this mom, I'm sorry to break it to you, your daughter is definitely on drugs. Oh, but we trust her. And she said, she's definitely on drugs.
You need to intervene.
And so they're going to make an appointment to see me. Hopefully the daughter will agree, but she's also flat out, why should I see someone I'm not? And I said, that's one of the signs, shifting the blame to the outside. You're not trusting me. You don't believe me. It's a manipulative strategy. So once they get too defensive about, and especially this mother was saying, she said, but we can go for a test. I said, that's how they're bluffing you.
So go for the test.
Go for the test.
Yes.
Because they say, oh man, what if the test go, in the parents' head, what if the test come back negative and now I've break trust? Go for the test. They're bluffing when they say, you can go test me now.
Let's go.
So
see the conversation.
Bluff, you know, because those are the simple signs And if you care enough, and this is what parents, they feel guilty. They feel guilty. But I tell them, if you care enough about your child, you will risk breaking trust in winning your child. Because you could trust them all the way through to their death.
And lose them eventually. Wow,
and lose them eventually.
That's powerful. Man.
You can trust them and trust them and trust them, but all the red flags are there, and you continue to trust. If they don't come forward, you will lose. You will lose your child, and you will sit with a greater sense of tragedy. And I don't want that for any parent in this world. I don't want them to go through that. So go test your child if you suspect.
Even if you, like you said, you can lose trust. Never mind risk losing. You lose trust, but you won't lose your child, because there is pathways. There is things that you can do thereafter. If you could speak to the 14-year-old version, Ivor.
Sure.
If you could speak to him and say, buddy, I've had these experiences in my life. This is who I've become today. And I wish you had this mindset or these ideas and ideologies about life. What would you say to that young man?
It does get better.
It does get better.
It absolutely does get better. Don't go down that path. Don't leave your mother's house. It does get better. It gets better. You just have to hold on. It gets better. Don't go with those friends. It gets better. You have to do the work.
Beautiful.
I would absolutely just tell him it gets better.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, love it. Love your story, Ivor. Books. I want to get into some books.
Yeah.
You're a vivid reader and you're an author.
Yeah.
What are 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of your favorite books and why?
Number 1, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
Just simply that life sucks, the acknowledgement that life is struggle. And once you accept that, you can move forward. That even in the worst possible circumstances, you are able to choose how you look at life. You can't choose your circumstances, you can choose your outlook. That's what that one. The second one is A Town Called Potential. South African author, A Town Called Potential. It is this idea of a family that was just so outrageously weird that everyone thought they are wrong. They are the bad ones. If you stand out, if you do things different, in business, if you do things different,
you're going to be isolated.
You get isolated, you get rejected. You are weird. That's not how we do things.
Yes.
And that's why I wear.
I love the happy socks. Yes.
I wear mismatched socks every single day of my life. There's not a day that you will find me with a pair of socks that's the same, because I want to be reminded it's okay to be weird.
I actually wanted to call you out on that, but off camera. Was it intentional or were you in a hurry this morning?
No. Every day of my life since the 9th of October 2016, I've been wearing mismatched socks. It's okay to be weird. Don't be scared to be different. Don't be scared to walk in a room and everyone looks the same and you're the only one looking different. It's okay to quietly just say, I think differently about that.
Got you.
I'm sorry to disagree, but I think differently. Be okay. So, and that book, it's a thin book, A Town Called Potential. It's out of print, but that book taught me that. And then there's a book by Philip Yancey. He's a religious journalist in America. The Jesus I Never Knew. That made Jesus not some hyper-religious figure, but a human being that walked this earth, that tried to make the world a better place through his life and story. That says there's a different way. Oh, you've heard it said, do this, but I tell you, do this. And you'll be all the more better for it. And that book, from a from a historical Jesus point of view. Yes, it was also the first religious book I've read after I became a Christian.
Okay.
I didn't start out with all this, how your best life. I start out with the Jesus I never knew.
That was the first one.
And I to this day, I read that book every year around Easter time, read some of the Easter stories of that book, and then around Christmas time, read some of the Christmas stories from that book.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Cars. Are you into cars? Do you like cars?
I like only one specific car.
Tell me.
A black Jeep Wrangler. That's the only
okay.
car. That's the car that I every time I see that car, I make a prophetic claim.
Beautiful.
One day I'll have a Jeep. That's the only car that I know.
From your mouth to God's ears, my brother.
That's the only car I want in this life.
Beautiful.
A Jeep Wrangler.
Beautiful. What's next? First of all, I'm sorry I'm calling you out, but where can parents reach out? Can a parent that has a child that's struggling, that's got issues at the moment, that they can't process alone, can they reach out to you?
Yeah.
And if yes, how?
Yeah. So there's two ways they can find me on all the social media platforms.
And we're going to put all the links below this video to make sure that everybody finds you easily. Where do you like to respond? On Instagram, on Facebook?
Facebook more than Instagram.
Yeah, no. Our ID numbers don't start with a 9. So we're more on the Facebook side. Yeah, the young man off camera, my cousin, he's
find me on Insta.
I don't even think he knows what Facebook is. The young people are on Instagram, yes.
Yeah, but then also I have a website called youththefuture.org. www.youththefuture.org. That is where I do my speaking engagement. That's where people can find all the rest of my info, my phone number should they want to contact me via that. There they see also the work that I do, the interventions that I do, the speaking stuff that I do. So the website is also a good place to find. That's where my books are. That's all, everything. Yeah.
Beautiful. Sir, I'm not just saying that because I have to. I'm saying that because I want to. This has been one of the best hour and a half. I don't know how long this interview has been, because I'm speaking to a fellow Christian that has acknowledged that you're frail, you've made mistakes, you're owning your mistakes. There's no doubt about it. I mean, off camera I asked you, what am I allowed to ask you? What am I not allowed to? What don't you want to? You said to me, ask me anything you want to ask me. Here I am. I'm going to give you my feedback, and you know, I'm going to close with this. I normally say that you've left me better than you found me. So you are changing lives. You are going to leave this planet better than you found it. Thank you very much for all the good work that you do with the youth, and I really appreciate your time, and I've learned a lot from you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much, and more power to you and all the success that's coming to you and your family.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.